After visiting Manakamana, we continued west and climbed up to Bandipur, a hilltop town that feels like a pause button on the Kathmandu-Pokhara route. Bandipur sits above the main highway near Dumre, up on a ridge with wide views over the river valleys below. And even before you get into the history, you can feel why people stop here. The air is cooler, the pace slows down, and the old town is made for walking. What makes Bandipur especially interesting is that it's a newer heritage town outside the Kathmandu Valley. Historically, Bandipur became a trading center after Newar merchants, especially associated with Bhaktapur, established themselves here as trade expanded and shifted after the Gorkha conquest of the valley in 1768. Bandipur's location was attractive because it was malaria-free compared with the lowland plains, and it sat on a route connected to the old India-Tibet trade network. So when you walk through Bandipur, you're seeing newer urban culture transplanted to a different ridge and landscape, newer architecture, newer town planning, and a newer bazaar atmosphere, but far from Kathmandu or Patan. The heart of town is the main bazaar street, lined with traditional houses, brick, timber, carved windows, shuttered openings, and that distinctive old trading town look. Bandipur's old center is also known for being calm and walkable, with fewer vehicles than you'd expect on a major travel corridor. This is the kind of place where you don't need a checklist. You just walk slowly, look up at the woodwork, look into courtyards, and notice how the town still feels organized around a bazaar spine. A town that rose, declined, and came back. Bandipur had a real boom period in the Rana era, the kind of prosperity that leaves behind solid multi-story houses and civic institutions. One small but telling example, Bandipur was granted permission to have its own library, and that library still exists as part of the town's heritage. Then the modern road system changed everything. When the Prithvi Highway was built down in the valley, the main flow of traffic bypassed Bandipur. Trade declined, businesses moved down toward Dumre, and Bandipur became quiet, almost a half-abandoned town for a while, before tourism gradually revived it again. That backstory matters, because it explains why Bandipur feels preserved. It wasn't redeveloped in the same way as the highway towns. When traffic moved to the valley floor, Bandipur was suddenly bypassed. Shops closed, families moved away, and for a time the town entered a kind of quiet pause. But that pause became a form of protection. Without pressure to modernize quickly, many of the old newer houses remained standing, and the basic layout of the bazaar street stayed intact. When tourism later returned, it did so slowly and selectively. Instead of large hotels or concrete blocks, many old homes were adapted into small guest houses and cafes. The scale of the town didn't change. Streets stayed narrow, buildings stayed low, walking remained the natural way to experience the place. That sense, Bandipur represents a different kind of preservation, not through grand planning or restoration projects, but through being left slightly out of the way. And that's exactly what makes it such a rewarding stop after Manakamana, a chance to slow down, walk, and experience newer town life at a human pace, with the hills and valleys spread out beneath you. In that sense, Bandipur represents a different kind of preservation, not through grand planning or restoration projects, but through being left slightly out of the way. And that's exactly what makes it such a rewarding stop after Manakamana, a chance to slow down, walk, and experience newer town life at a human pace, with the hills and valleys spread out beneath you. Bandipur is also famous as a viewpoint, and that really becomes clear when you leave the main street and take a walk along the ridge. We walked out of town into open space, green fields stretching out in front of us, the land falling away on both sides. It felt quiet and unhurried, with only the sound of the wind and distant village life below. From places like Tundikhel, the view opens up dramatically. On clear days, people talk about seeing the Annapurna Range, Dholagiri, Manaslu, and sometimes even Ganesh Himal in the distance. When we were there, clouds came and went, revealing snow-capped peaks for a moment before hiding them again. But even when the mountains disappear, the sense of openness remains. Ridgelines roll away into the distance, valleys cut deep below, and far beneath us you can trace the line of the highway, a reminder of how separate Bandipur feels from the constant movement down there. Walking along the ridge, it's easy to understand why Bandipur became a place to pause, not just for traders in the past, but for travelers today.
If you would like to know more about my experience over the past 5 decades, learning and using more than 30 languages around the globe, with adventures in 101 countries so far, then please visit my website, polyglotdreams.com. There you will find my memoir, A Life in 30 Languages, translated in various languages and integrated with audio and dual readers to offer a great way to improve your target languages.